Hey guys, this is Crab Hunter, and welcome back to World of Tanks. Woo! And welcome to patch 9.8 test server. Barely a week or two after the 9.7 live server. GG Wargaming. But that said, this server looks absolutely quite interesting. Quite surprised me, and some of the features that they're planning, we'll just say right now, none of the features that you see at the current moment are guaranteed to go in. This is a test. This is also the first iteration at the time of this recording of said test, so nothing you see here is guaranteed to go through as planned. But what it looks like so far does actually seem very interesting regardless. Now, before we go on, this is going to be my usual little mini-series comprising of 2 episodes. For any of you who don't know, basically the first episode comprises of me talking to you guys about the said new features, giving my opinion as a first impression, then asking you for yours. Now don't worry, if you are all about the action, about the blood, and about the gore, then do not worry, because the second episode will comprise of me going out there with the potential of meeting up with Nimbus, a good friend of mine from Priests of Wololor, and we basically either go out in the new maps or try out new modes or vehicles that may be introduced into the game. So for all you blood, guts and gore fellows, if you wait until now, when a lovely little hyperlink has appeared right in front of you, huzzah, and you can click onto it so you can go to the next video, whereupon you will see me actually go out and kill stuff. So to all those out there, thank you very much for watching this, and I will see you in the next episode. Okay, so thank you very much to all those who've stayed. I shall try and make this entertaining and informative as possible. Now, what is new in patch 9.8? Well, this patch isn't exactly full of new content, but what it does instead is it provides you guys with, spiced up features, a couple of new things here and there, but nothing major. The largest amount of HDified tanks I've personally think in a one patch, which is a very nice thing. Not to those who have a lower computer, but there are features around that as well, so that will be making things kind of nice for the group. And generally this patch is kind of, it's not a balancing only patch. It's not only just changing of the effects of things. It's actually also giving giving back. I think that this patch is actually quite a nice looking patch because of what features will be introduced to assist in the World of Tanks community. The first of which is actually known as personal resources or personal personal stores. Now what this basically means is if you're a clan member, which I think if I just go to the stronghold in this particular mode, it doesn't actually show me the thing, so we're going to have to just talk to you. If you're a clan member, or part of a big clan or anything, you basically would be familiar with the clan stores. So if you earn industrial resources by fighting in skirmishes, you will attain the ability to either have little tiny bonuses given to you for for fighting in these things, so that way you can either earn more credits, more experience in battle, just generally it gives you a little bit of a buff, so that way you can earn slightly more than you would to help you along with a grind. And I personally really love this feature. It's one of my favorite features. It's kind of what makes Stronghold worth it in a sense, because if you didn't get any bonuses, just fighting for random things is not very much. It wouldn't really yield any kind of rewards. Well, what Wargaming are doing, for those who aren't interested in any clans, is they're actually giving that ability also to yourself. So if I go over to my name over here, you will see a personal reserves icon. And what this basically means, if I go into it, is that over the course of completing missions, which you will see in the missions and specials icon, you can see you can get the first strike, second strike. These are basically the most easy missions you can ever possibly do in order to get it. But what these missions will allow you to have is a little bit of a buff to how much experience, free experience, crew experience, and credits you can earn throughout a time. Now obviously these are not as much as you would say a Stronghold one would be. But for someone potentially on a non-premium account, so earning credits is a bit of a nice thing, or experience, which another cool feature is that you can actually active out of 3. So you can activate extra experience, extra crew. So if you wanted to really buff up your tank and stuff, if you have a particular favorite tank, you can give it more credits, give your crew more experience in it, and finally, you can, if you're grinding it, you can either addition up the amount of experience you accrue on the tank, or you can give yourself the additional free experience, which will allow you to potentially convert something of a vehicle that you're not so fond of. And it's actually a really good feature. So, for example, I'll just give this little tiny thing. So, active experience. And as it says there, you now have an extra 5% of experience per battle for 6 minutes. Now, I don't know if this effect culminates. I'm going to speculate and say no for just balancing reasons, but it might actually be possible. I personally don't know if it's true or not. Like I said, I'm speculating on this one. It could be I could be completely wrong, but I don't think they would allow you to culminate. I think it's more of a you only get 5%. Let me just say that's a 5, so that's active. Can I activate that? Oh, I can activate that as well. So maybe this is possible. I don't know, but like I said, it's possible. But either way, so now if you are a person who just you can't quite afford any premium time, or you don't want to spend money on premium time, then this is a kind of a nice thing for you. Now, these things are acquired during a mission, and like, say, the personal missions inside the campaign area, the moment you complete a mission for your personal reserves, like the personal missions, you will receive a little extra tab to say, congratulations, you've won this now. And basically what you do is you go over to your personal reserve icon, you click on that, and then you can enjoy utilizing that new ability. Now, I imagine when they go into live server, these things will probably be a lot harder to get than just what I've got here. But you can generally see the bonuses that you might get, and maybe it might inspire more players to do stuff. You never know. But either way, I think that's actually quite a nice incentive to get your World of Tanks players going, which is quite a useful thing, especially if you're not really feeling the vibe for it. So, now we've had a look at the personal reserves, what else is going to be introduced? Well, this new little rejig of the personal missions is going to be introduced, which is, and I'm going to remember to quote this from the patch notes themselves, is they've changed, rebalanced, and reformulated. I'm finger quoting them at the same time, even though you're never going to see it. The win conditions for the personal missions. So try saying that 5 times fast. Anyway, so basically what this will entail, I imagine, is going to be certain missions that you once completed are no longer completed, or that they've changed the conditions so that you might have to complete them again. Not really the greatest thing to have to be told, but still. You may also find that certain objectives that you may have not been able to complete because you just didn't understand it, or how the translation just didn't really work. I think there was a fair amount of people sort of saying it was great that certain missions were done, but the thing is, it didn't really specify as to what kind of thing you had to do in order to complete the mission. I'm not entirely sure. So basically some people were like, oh, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this thing. So it's like, it's nice to sort of see that they're rejigging that. Of course, this does mean that for some poor sods, that their determination and desperate. I want this complete, and I've never got it done. Finally got it complete, and then all of a sudden, sods are like, and I'm just gonna undo that mission for you. It must be, it must be probably a nasty tick in the teeth, which is probably why I think it's going to be a bit of a mix of popular and unpopular. But that said, I'm speculating on that one. I think it's going to be nice if you can complete that, because then that means now people can actually either re-earn the money that they had. So potentially for me, with my heavy tanks mission, I can re-earn some of the money and things I've got. Maybe for my artillery as well, I could do the same, though to be honest with you, it looks like they haven't really changed that at all. Yeah, so for a bunch of things, you can actually now enjoy. You can now. How the hell did I do that? Like I said, it's nice and sort of stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so popular, I imagine, to some, not to others, I fear. So, another new feature that's going to be introduced into World of Tanks is something which I personally find to be actually quite an awesome feature. I think it's actually quite a lot of fun for it. And this is the feature to introduce a standard definition mode into the game. Now, what this basically will entail is that at the launcher, you can have an option to either have a standard definition version of the game and a HD version of the game. So what this will mean is that for anyone who has not such a great computer, or not such a great either internet or system, or both, God forbid, I've been through those times, and yeah, I know how you feel. You know, like some players may actually be really good at this game, but because their computer just can't handle it, and because they're not, you know, they either don't have any money to be able to pay for it, or they're using their family-owned system. You know, so basically they just can't quite get the computer to, you know, get it to run at a decent quality or a decent performance, can now actually run the game at a decent performance and a decent frame rate, so that way they can, you know, you can quite happily enjoy playing this game at a decent quality performance without having to have the HD effects. Because even though, and I've had this before when I on my old computer, even though I was playing this game at like the lowest of low settings, like most if not all of the settings were down to 0, this particular vehicle still had HD effect moments, which would lag my computer at that point. So like I would go down to about 25 to about 15 frames. To 10, then going down to 10 frames. You know, so it was a bit of a lag fest, and obviously with, you know, when your computer's struggling to process the information, it also means that your internet is going to have to work overtime in order to do that. And if your computer if your internet isn't the greatest, you may find certain things like that to be virtually impossible to play this game effectively. So to have that ability to play this game at a high quality graphics, I personally feel is a fantastic thing, and very much looking forward to seeing it in use, because that means potentially the player base actually might receive a bit of a buff, and maybe some players who previously couldn't play too well before, couldn't quite see it, now can actually enjoy this game at a much better frame rate. It also doesn't take up as much memory as well, so that's another bonus. If your computer doesn't have too much in the form of memory, you can now play this game with probably not having to download over 100 gig for it, which is a nice bonus. Also, I kind of like it because it also, what benefits the SD, and I'm not trying to make it sound classes, but for some people, I guess, some people have, like, you know, bad computers, and so they'll never really get to enjoy it. So for those who actually have nice computers, rather than, you know, that way it gives the World of Tanks, I'm trying to say this without being so insensitive, it just gives the World of Tanks development team the ability to spice up some of the HD features. So for those who do have a nice computer, they can actually enjoy extra things. And I'm not saying it's going to be like one version of the tanks will get better features like destructibility or physics. I imagine when they do stuff like that, it's going to be involved for both parties. But for things like extra flares or extra graphical effects, maybe better looking water, the better bloom, better shine, maybe better explosion effects, all that kind of stuff may be possible now that there's not so many people utilizing the HD effects, HD version of the game. So that's a pretty handy bonus, and I think it's a really nice thing for wargaming to introduce. Okay, so now that we've talked about a few boring dull features, let's actually show you guys something, and let us show you the new HD vehicles that are going to be listed. Now, I warn you, this may take a few minutes because of how many there are. We'll start with the Russians. These ones aren't included because they're for the new mode, which I'll get onto in a few. So first of all, let us have a look at the new, finally HD-ified IS-3. Ho ho! Ooh, shiny. Oh, that looks really nice. That looks nice. I'm not gonna lie, that looks nice. Yeah, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Oh, I'm gonna keep saying that now. Look at that! Oh. Yeah. Oh, the barrel looks different as well. I like. It's a really nice looking barrel. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I like that. IS-3 looks sexy. Oh, looks lovely. I wonder what it looks like when the turret's blown off. That's so awesome. We got a Dishka as well. Gotta have the Dishka. Yeah, that looks really nice. I really like that. Oh, that's lovely. See, this vehicle, I don't know why, I've been kind of looking forward to seeing what they would make of this thing. Because this is, like, I would argue, the most popular Tier 8 heavy tank in the game. Like, if not all people in skirmishes utilize these things, most people at Tier 8, like, I remember there was a period in which this tank was used, like, non-stop. It's not so common now with the introduction of other tanks in the game, but it's still, I would say, a good tank. Like, I would reckon in most Tier 8 games, if not all, you would see an IS-3. But still, that's really awesome. It's a rarity when you don't see an IS-3 in a game. So that's a really awesome tank. I'm looking forward to playing it with a nice HD effects. That's really nice looking. Oh, I love it. But actually another vehicle, which is a few tiers down, has also received a nice HD effect. The Su-85. Pretty nice looking, actually. Not as shiny as the glorious HD effect. There is some shine. It's on the top there. I'm going to shine it there. Tracks look nice. You know, little. I don't know why they've introduced this thing where every new Russian tank has to have, or every new tank. Like, I'm gonna kind of spoil a couple of things. Like the Leopard has to have the front parts of it bashed in and smashed. It's like, yeah, it's nice to see a little bit of battle damage, but well, why not have? You know, I mean, yeah, it's nice to see the bit of damage, but still, it's like, how the hell does that happen? Do you like ram into something, or does the explosion just meant that? I don't know. But either way, it does look really, really cool. And I will say it looks pretty good. But again, going back to the Su-85, looks really nice. The log is obviously there. Does the IS-3 have the log? No, it doesn't. God, you're not a Russian tank, are you? So yeah, you've got the very famous log on the side there. The fuel canisters as well. Lovely Russian steel version of the tank. Commander's cupola, pretty nice. I love how this thing now doesn't really cover the tank as it used to. It actually feels a bit like a hat now. It does look a bit like a hat, to be honest with you now. Any minute now, it's going to go, hello, my honey, hello, my baby. It's pretty cool, though. I like it. As I said, it's a nice-looking TD now. Nice HD effect. The wheels look very nice. It's very nice looking. There's nothing really else I can say about it. It just looks nice. Going on to Deutschland, the Leopard 1 has received a very nice-looking upgrade. I think this is the smoothbore. This is a smoothbore. Modern weaponry. As you can see, really nice looking treads. A lot. You can tell the style of how tanks were made just by, you know. I mean, obviously, I imagine there's like a certain type of texture in which to show the difference between German and Russian and American. But this is pretty nice because you can see like the different style of the treads. That looks more rubbery. The wheels as well. The style of the armor. The style of the, you know, just everything about it just looks, and it probably feels when you're driving it, like just a badass. Got little side points there. It just looks so nice. Very nice looking tank. Very much looking forward to seeing this in battle, and hopefully someday having it in my garage, because I actually quite liked the Leopard 1 when I first tried it. Like admittedly it was during a test server, so I can't really say if it is 100% great, but still, it does look really nice. Another vehicle to receive a buff in HDness is the Hummel. Yes, the Hummel. Tier 6 artillery. So I imagine a fair amount of you might have just started spitting and frothing at the mouth at saying, "Ooh, scumbag!" But, you know, it looks pretty decent. Little questionable details here, not gonna lie. Couple of low quality effects there. Some of the trapdoors, not like some of the doors here. I mean, like I said, it's good. It looks different, obviously, but I can't really see the differences at points. Like, obviously it's different regarding the treads, as well as some of the outside features, like the shininess effect. But that I personally would have spiced up a little bit more, just a little bit, maybe a little bit there. But like I said, I'm no developer. But still, it looks good regardless. I'm looking forward to seeing this thing either being destroyed, or if I ever do use this thing, me using it. Now, going on to the Americans, who've actually received the most in new HD tanks. First of all, we start off with the Jumbo. Yes, the M4A3E2 Sherman Jumbo in both forms. First of all, stock with what I believe will be the most commonly used gun on the tank, since this thing has 152mm worth of turret, versus the upgraded version's 63. Of course, you will get the Top Gun if we get the Top Gun as well. That's what it'll look like if you fully upgrade this thing with the Top Gun. But I imagine most likely people will be rolling around with this, as personally I kind of see it as that's kind of its best use. It's like, it's not as fast as the EZ8, so I imagine just duking it out and having higher alpha is probably what will save this thing's life, more than saving other things as well. But still, that's pretty damn cool. And you know, it looks pretty decent. Maybe even, God forbid, they're having to use this thing, which is, God forbid, or that thing, depending. Either way, yeah, it's not looking too bad, to be honest with you. That's pretty nice looking. I like that. Kind of looking forward to when they put it on the EZ8 Sherman as well. Following straight on, you also gain access to the M26 Pershing, with this new HD effect. And once again, you can see some bullet marks, some damage to the front of the tank, the new olivey feel. Because like originally, when I saw the American tanks, like a fair amount of them are greenified. Like if we go to the T110E5, I don't think it's been, yeah, this one has green, but it's not like super green. Sorry, olive, but it's not super olive. Whereas with the American vehicles now, it's like super olive. You can definitely tell it's super olive. So that's a pretty nice, nifty looking feature. 50 cal pointing the wrong way as always. I imagine it's because of like when they were transporting these things, but still. But no, that's pretty damn cool. Yeah, got the engine effect looking really nice. Commander's cupolas, glasses shining. Like I said, it's a nice looking tank. Defo at some point got to get this thing. Now, for some reason, they've added this one as well back onto being HDified, which it does look really good, but I can't shake the feeling that I've seen this before. Like, in a previous patch, they were talking about HDifying this particular tank, but I don't know. I could be completely wrong. What's that in there? Oh, that's shorter barrel. But still, like I said, I can't quite be sure as to what, as to whether they did or not. I could be completely wrong, but I feel that they've actually HDified this tank before. I swear they must have done at some point. It couldn't, I honestly think they might have done it before. But either way, it has been involved in the list, so I will show it to you. So you can see the spaced armor there, extra bounciness to it. You got, the treads and everything, the rubber, actually these look, yeah, the rubber treads. Damage to the system, radio location, looks really nice, like a battle-hardened variation of that. I have no idea what these are for. I honestly don't. If anyone could, in the comment section, explain to me what these are, I'll happily, I will, that is, yeah, I would love it if I knew what those are, because I have no idea. Never even, I've never seen the thing before, but I have no idea what those are. So anyhow, going on to the next vehicle, the Tier 10 M48A1 pattern has been also given a bit of a sprightly look, and yeah, really nice looking vehicle. Tank that took part in Vietnam. Very much different, you can tell by the design of the vehicles. Like you're coming like this Sherman Jumbo, and then all of a sudden, bam, more modern weaponry. So that does look pretty badass. Even the 50 cal on the top style turret looks pretty sweet. Turret all around, sort of like a bit before the M6. Looks slightly like like the Prelude before the M60 came along, but that looks pretty damn good regardless. So yeah, it looks really, really nice. Defo looking forward to, if I ever get up to the lines of getting such a nice looking medium tank, I will defo want to get this. And a couple tanks before the end, well, before they ever meant to the Americans at least, the T-32 has received a nice looking buff to its graphics as well. So now all you T-32 lovers out there can have a very glorious looking T-32 tank with even numbers at the top there. So when you want to insult someone who can't seem to pen the lower part of your tank, you can now just say, haha, you can't pen for shit, and then blow them up with your pretty decent looking 105mm gun with 198 pen. So that's pretty nice. Finally, for the Americans, probably one of the more popular, I imagine popular because it was like one of the first few things to be shown on the patch notes, is the M10 Wolverine, utilizing the F76 M1A2 gun. Very, very nice. I imagine a fair amount of more detail was put into this. As you can see, the different type of shells, where the thing is. You can even see, if you look carefully, where the driver and radio ops guy is. So now you can have a little look down south into your tank, whereupon the gloriousness of your driver, or before he dies, will be shown. So that's pretty damn cool. That is pretty damn, that's pretty awesome. And I gotta get, now that this thing's been HDified, I'm actually kind of intrigued to get this thing, just to see what happens. But still, looks really good. Defo looking interested in seeing how that works out. So, yeah, that's the Americans for you. The most HD effect vehicles in the game so far. And finally, for a couple of vehicles, one French being the AMX 5120. Looking really nice, weird looking braces. I'm not entirely sure what those are for. Probably designed in some fancy pants reason, but still, like, I've not been a big fan. To be honest with you, I've not really been fussed about the looks of these particular things. I personally prefer normal firing tanks. Autoloaders seem fine, but yeah, I kind of, they're great, but they have their disadvantages, namely armor and ability to carry a fight. Because these things, I'm not saying they can't carry a fight completely, but in comparison to say a T-32, I would wager for example, if it was a 5100, the T32 potentially, if both had equally skilled drivers, maybe the 5100 would win, maybe the T32 would win. Obviously, that's RNG for you. But personally, I find an autoloader has, well, okay, I'm going to say it, limited uses in my eye. In my eye, I like them. They're very effective. But the looks of them, not so fussed on. As for combat was, yeah, I don't know. It looks nice, don't get me wrong. I'll stop ranting. But yeah, it just does. Autoloaders don't really appeal to me. They're cool, they're useful, they look badass if driven by a good player. But in my eye, I could never probably use them in a proper way. So I kind of prefer the normal firing shell tanks such as the T-32, Tiger, and all that lot. Going on to good old Blighty, we have the Cromwell given a nice spice up. So if you are a Cromwell fan, pray to the gods in the heavens and thank them for such a beautiful bounty, as the Cromwell has received a bit of a buff up. Even the weird looking beasts and machine guns. God, our tanks looked ugly. I'm sorry, Britain, but we did make some really freaking ugly tanks at times. I mean, yeah, like, I know it sounds very un-British of me to say it. Like, don't get me wrong, she looks good, and in combat she's a demon, but this tank very much just looks like I'm suited to the task I'm needed. I have no time for style, sort of thing. It's like, literally, I have got 2 machine guns because 2 machine guns are better than none. I have got a cover for my radio operator, and more importantly, I've got the supplies. And our capeller is not as large, and our rear end is covered by in case of dust storms. So yeah, she looks very much now suited to the task with extra effects. So, praise be to the Cromwell. So, for the last 2 vehicles of the tech tree, or the HD tree, we have the first, I believe in the first Chinese HD release vehicle, the Type T34. Now, this is actually quite nice looking. I will say, looks pretty decent. I mean, on one perspective, it's literally just a T34, just Chinesified, with just the style of China and everything. And yeah, it looks good. I think, as I said, I think this is the first Chinese version of the tank. The tracks look nice. The style of the tank looks nice. Aerial, the gun, really nice looking. Still got the same variety of guns. Actually, no, you don't. Actually, not so much, but still, you got a pretty decent variety of guns there. That's pretty nice. Going on to the next one, which is a tier up from it, you get the Type 58. So pretty much the same, almost a carbon copy of the T-34-85 with the 85mm gun, Type 58 turret and everything. Yeah, it looks like, as I said, looks pretty much the same as, or a little bit different possibly, but still looks relatively the same as the T-34-85. But yeah, look, regardless of that, it looks pretty good. Dafo looks really nice. So there you go, guys. Nice looking tanks with nice looking features. Yeah, pretty darn decent. I mean, as I said, I'm not too, well, as I don't really utilize these vehicles, I don't know, I'm indifferent to them, but still, it looks good. So kind of for most of these vehicles, it's like, it looks nice. I can't really say anything apart from, it looks nice. Okay, so now that we've had a look at the HD vehicles, let's go on to one more thing before we round things off with the maps and a summary. The new mode they're testing. Now, Wargaming, in the first iteration of this patch, are currently testing out a new game mode, in which I've had a few games on it so far, and it's looking immensely good. Like, really good. I really do like the way that this thing is looking. And this new mode is called Domination. Now, Domination is quite simply where in this game mode, I won't spoil too much because obviously we've got, the next episode to kind of fully go into it. But what basically this mode will entail is that you and your team have to either take a number of flags that are spawned at your base, or you take a single flag spawned in the middle of a map, which I believe the map is Ghost Town, I believe. The one that you introduced for tournament games only. This mode basically entails that you've either got to take your single flag or multiple flags over to the enemy spawn. And there's 2 sections near the enemy spawn whereupon you have to take them. So it's a bit like capture the flag only in opposite regions sort of deal, which is really nice. I like this. It would definitely encourage gameplay, so teamwork in the gameplay. Obviously, because it's test server and because most people driving in this game are possibly driving heavy tanks, so tier 10 tanks for the first time, they're probably super excited. But anyhow, so as such, the mode itself it's actually pretty awesome because with these 3 tanks, you may think you only pick one or something, but no, actually what this game introduces is a respawn mode. And you don't have limited lives either. If you die, say for example in the Object 140, you can't immediately select the Object 140 again. You actually get a bit of a countdown timer in which you are forced to either pick between the T110E5 or the 50B. But if you die in the 50B, then you can go straight back into the Object 140 again, which is really nice. So I think it's a really nice method. I like this mode. It looks really good, and I'm very much looking forward to showing you this in the second episode. So I won't be saying too much now because I don't want to spoil it. But still, I very much recommend you do it because it's a very good game mode, and if you have the ability to download the test server, it's about 6 gig, definitely do it and definitely try this game mode out because I personally think it looks absolutely gorgeous. And hopefully will go into the game mode. Speculatively, fingers crossing, will go into live server because I will totally play the shit out of that. Oh, looks so good. Okay, so now that we've talked about the bigger features of this patch, a little tiny bit before we go to the overview. This is more to do with the maps. Now, I've got some great news, some sad news, and some interesting news. We'll talk about the great news first. The great news is Cormoran is finally removed from random game rotation! Yay! Yes, Cormoran is now finally gone, and hopefully never to return. Oh, that map was so shit. If you haven't played this game, Cormoran is basically an incredibly boring, campy, really annoying if you're playing on the north side map. The general gist of... I don't know really, it's more about just the campiest map. The general gist of the map is that the south side... and then the general gist is that it's basically you've got an island in the center, surrounded a bit by a river and a bit by just low ground, and the teams kind of have to negotiate through mostly flat terrain to try and go through. But the problem is, what the problem was with that is that there was loads of tree cover, bush cover, and everything. And because of how the map is so flat at points, basically it ends up becoming an incredibly boring camp fest. Like, maybe for the first few minutes of the game you'll get some minor skirmish engagements, or maybe there's a big heavy tank rush, but eventually it pans out to the last few tanks just waiting and sitting about doing bugger all, because they're either too scared to get their pixel tank damaged, and the other team is the same, and you're waiting for idiots to run in front of you in a desperate bid, and eventually the team who's lost the most will lose, because the other team will steamroller through, or they will not lose, and just the game just drags, and it's so boring. So I'm very happy to see that that map is finally going. I hate Cormoran. It's such an annoying map. Now on to the sad news. Wargaming seems to be very much determined to remove all traces of the map Northwest, as they've deleted the Northwest map. I'm like... They said basically deleted the resources of Northwest. I'm like, but why? It was a good map. I love that map. Northwest was a good map. It actually had variation in terrain. You could have multiple avenues to flank your opponent. And it's really good. And it's really sad that it's gone, because that was a good map. You know, why did they have to get rid of Northwest? I personally loved that map because you could get shots down, but there was a lot of cover, so that way you couldn't quite, you know, there were certain kill zones for sure, but then you could still outflank the said kill zones and then be able to utilize that to get the guys who were using the kill zones. So really, it was an incredibly balanced map. Why they're getting rid of it and why they deleted the resources for it, I don't know. Maybe a developer got killed on that too many times. Like, oh, fuck this map. I hate this map. Everyone has fair chance against me. I don't like it. Destroy this map. We will destroy it and burn it in the fires of hell. Speculating, of course. So anyway, so that's now gone, which is a bit of a shame. Now, here's something which is interesting. The map Hidden Village, if I can remember quoting from the patch notes, has had its battle level reduced. So what this possibly means, I believe the Hidden Village is the one in Japan, is basically where potentially we could be seeing only lower tiers going into that. Now, it doesn't say what tiers in particular will be going there. I imagine an ASAP video or something will say, guys, this is how it's going to be, will probably come out. But it does mean that there's no longer going to be the heavy tank and heavy arty spam in that kill zone anymore. Or at least it's not going to be high-tier heavy tank and high-tier artillery spam, which could make the map a little bit more interesting, as it's not going to be so dominated by heavy tanks. Though that said, personally, unless... I mean, maybe the good thing about it is that you won't have bat chats running about. I will say, when you get a platoon of bat chats on that particular map, and they go down into the village, anyone going there is generally fucked. Unless you've got like 3 or 4 friends with you, you are generally screwed going into that engagement, because they will always kill you. So that's kind of nice to see that they're not going to be interfering with that one any longer. As to anything else, I'm not I mean, maybe the artillery and spotting, but I'll say this, it's interesting. I'm intrigued as to what level they've reduced it down to. If it's going to be like relatively low tier, like say up to tier 8, then maybe that's more of an interest. That'll be pretty decent. But anything lower, then that'll be like, aha. But anyhow, so that's all the most, in my opinion, interesting extra info you may receive. So, patch 9.8. I will say, this patch is a good one. I like this patch. It's certainly not a, fucking backstabber into the back of either players who are using a vehicle to its actual effectiveness, or taking away the penetration of a certain type of vehicle just because it's a tier 10. So it's nice to see that. So it's nice. I like this patch. It's actually giving something to the player, and it's giving even the standard def players a chance now to play, which is even better. It may mean that we may get better games because the people who don't have the best computers can actually play now to a relatively decent standing. And then also, I kind of thought whilst I was recording other things that with the HD textures, perhaps we can gain a bit of a boost in like what we can have for the HD game, so that now only the HD players can get. It's a little bit separatist, I'm not going to lie. But then again, if you have the ability to play a computer game at high quality, you're going to kind of want to have extra kind of quality, so I kind of like that idea. But either way, I'm very I'm generally quite happy with this patch. I'm very much looking forward and hoping as well, beyond hope, that the new game mode that Wargaming currently testing will go into World of Tanks, because it's so much fun. I honestly think if they can do it like this, it'll totally change the game up, because not having to worry about dying, or at least not having to worry too much about dying, really changed how I played. Instead of being way cautious at points and not really wanting to go, I was able to fully just say, right, fuck it, I'm going to go straight in. And some people be like, I do that all the time, I'm professional. But yeah, well, some of us, prefer to be a little cautious, don't want to just suicide. But no, being able to relax about certain things meant that I could totally take advantage of different situations, and in doing so, I believe it helped my performance. So, definitely hope that new game mode goes into practice, and also very happy with the personal reserves thing. Because, yeah, you're going to have to complete missions, but it does give an incentive to play. Because once you've gotten the missions and stuff, rather than just have a little tiny bit of an extra cash boost, it's now saying, hey, not only do you have an extra, for argument's sake, an extra premium consumable, but now you have a personal reserve. Huzzah! So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this probably lengthy video. If you like this kind of content, do let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget, if you are interested in seeing even the more gritty details, because there are a fair amount of details in this first iteration of the patch, I will have provided a link down below for you to have a look at all the gory bits and details of this first iteration of the patch. And I will also say once again, not everything you see in this patch is 100% guaranteed to be here when the test server goes to live. There are many things can be changed. Maybe in the second iteration, certain nerfs or buffs may be applied. Maybe the new HD vehicles may be withdrawn. Premium tank may be put in. You never know. We don't know, so don't say it's law at this moment. I said it. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. This is Crap Hunter signing out. I'll catch you in the next episode.